Hello, everyone. Ryan Lelf here, Wisdom from the Recliner, Volume 10, but coming to you from the beautiful state of Montana. And I'm sitting outside here in a comfy chair, got my bare feet touching the grass and the ground, and just enjoying our first full day here in Montana, and so thankful, so grateful that so many of you have generously given and blessed our family financially and given us so many opportunities during this 9-month adventure with cancer so far, and allowed us to take this much needed rest from the busyness and lifestyle of kid activities and all the demands that come with just, living every day. So I wanted to jump on tonight and just share 4 observations that I feel like I've observed regarding cancer and this experience with cancer and this diagnosis, knowing that so many people deal with this either themselves directly or potentially with a spouse or a child, a family member, a friend. It's really sad and unfortunate that so many of us are dealing with this. And so before I jump into that, though, I do want to talk a little bit about lifestyle and just something that hit me today. And this evening I was telling Caroline, as her and her mom spent probably about an hour just preparing a fully raw vegan meal for us tonight. We had guacamole, homemade salsa with celery sticks, and then we had burritos with the big lettuce heart leaves, and then we had olives and mushrooms and tomatoes chopped up, and you could load up your burrito with guacamole and salsa and all those things as well. And then we had salad, and it was wonderful. It was tasty, it was good, and I realized that the reason it's challenging for all of us, even our family, to eat well, to eat healthy, to eat real food, is there's some preparation time. And I was thinking about how while we're here, our lifestyle obviously is so much slower and doesn't have all the demands and doesn't have the things that we've put in place that makes it, challenging, makes you feel like I don't have time, or I don't have the energy, or I don't want to prepare. And so we obviously then cave to eating out, or eating processed food, or grabbing something quick, or using the microwave, or throwing in something frozen into the oven. And it's totally understandable. We do it, we've done it, and still have not been able to break free completely from that. It's going to be a process and a journey. But I think that one thing I realized is that cancer, in a way, kind of demands a reevaluation of lifestyle, and really forces and causes us to rethink why we do what we do and why we live the way we live. It doesn't necessarily mean that what we're doing or the way we live is necessarily bad. It just might not be one that gives us a chance to live in optimal health. Maybe it's not the healthiest lifestyle. And so maybe we want to reevaluate or rethink or just look at something different. I know for us, our perspective on living, on life, on child activities, on just our schedules, on what we say yes to versus what we say no to, we look at all that so differently. So let us all just take time, regardless of whether or not we get diagnosed with a dis-ease like cancer or Lyme disease or any number of illnesses. May we all just take a step back, slow down, and really think about our lifestyle. I think that would be healthy, important, and would serve all of us well. So let me jump into 4 observations that I've observed so far in this 9-month journey, and I'm sure I'll have many more. I kind of got this idea from Rob Bell. He shared an audio that I recently purchased and have enjoyed listening to actually almost 3 times now already, called Launching Rockets. And it's maybe the single greatest audio I've ever listened to in 36 years of life. It's really that good. And he shares 17 observations on parenting. So it just kind of gave me the idea about having observations regarding my journey with cancer. So observation number 1 is when a person, when a friend, when a family member, whoever it is, when a person gets diagnosed with cancer, we have more time than we think we do. You know, I hear of people who get diagnosed on Thursday, and on Friday their veins are already being pumped with chemotherapy. I've never heard of a person being diagnosed with cancer and dying the next day. Folks, I know it's scary. I know it's, for most of us, the most overwhelming bit of information we've ever had thrown at us in our entire lives by planet Earth. But we have more time than we realize. And I know, for me, that my observation would be, if I was able to go back and start this process over, yeah, I was thinking that same thing, Jill. Those cows probably aren't going to listen to me wherever they're at. Oh, there, you can see them. They are mooing and moaning and making all kinds of noises. So please forgive me. Just focus on the beautiful scenery, and hopefully you can still hear me pretty well. So I apologize about that. It's life in Montana, right? But anyway, we have more time than we realize. And obviously, you learn as you go down a journey, especially a path like this that we've never been on before. But if we had to do it all over again, what we would do is we'd receive the diagnosis, we'd take a deep breath, which I think we did a fairly decent job of this anyway. And if we had known about the grease blood test, I would like to see brand new people diagnosed. I'd like to see all of us do that first, because then that can give some really great direction and help kind of siphon through all of the treatment options for those of us going the alternative route. And for those of us going the conventional route, it may be a lifesaver, because it may help us pick the chemotherapy that actually has a chance of working instead of the one that actually has a chance of causing the cancer to spread. So I think it's very important that we remember, especially for those of us who are hearing the news about a spouse, a child, a friend, a family member, let us be that assurance, that calmness, that peace. Man, okay, there we go. I thought I lost connection for a second. And remind these people that they have more time than they realize. Now, I'm not suggesting to sit around for weeks or months or years and do nothing. I think there's still a healthy dose of urgency to have, but that's an observation. We have more time than we realize. Observation number 2. There is no perfect alternative treatment out there. There's no silver bullet. There's no just one that's going to work perfectly. What there is there's a bunch that do work. And what is so cool is you can literally, I believe, pick 3 or 4 or 5 of them. And the true litmus test is to see within a couple of weeks how our bodies respond to those. And they don't have to be perfect. They just have to work. We just have to see progress. And as long as that is occurring, continue on and move forward. I truly believe it would be better for each person diagnosed to find a local person in their area that they could receive great treatments from 2 times a week for a year than it is necessarily to do what I've done, which is go off to places for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. And then if you don't have the ability to come home and continue on a treatment plan or a protocol for more of a long-term 6 to 12 months, then that can really be something that's detrimental. Now, I think if you've got the ability to go away, there's been lots of benefits in that. But if going away is under a mindset that it's going to just cure someone and they're going to come home and be good to go without a long-term game plan and some local support, there are people who have done it completely on their own and healed in the home and have had basically no help. I remember a lady just recently telling me she had been able to do that on her own. That's amazing. But some of us may not be able to do that, you know. So observation number 2 is you don't have to have the perfect treatment. You don't need to keep thinking that you're missing out on one. And I think what we need to do is focus on the fact that pretty much there's a big group, a large number of them out there that have proven track records. Just pick some, believe they'll work, monitor your progress. Stop thinking that you're going to be over all this in 2 seconds or 2 days or probably even 2 months, and stick with stuff and just ignore everything else, because otherwise the internet becomes information overload and can put people into analysis paralysis. And we don't want to just sit idle. We would rather be doing something, seeing incremental progress, than keep thinking there's like a silver bullet out there. All right? Observation number 3. And this one is huge, because I really believe that when we hear this news and we get diagnosed, what surfaces is either fear or love. And unfortunately, what I observe is more often than not, it's fear that comes to the surface. And this fear begins to drive people to make decisions that later they regret, that later they realize does not serve them well, that can send them in the wrong direction, like towards the 6 feet under box, instead of healing and recovery and restoration. And the reason I say fear or love is because the only antidote to fear in this life and in this world is love. It's only when we truly are persuaded in our hearts that we are loved, that God, the creator of the universe, the higher power, whatever you are comfortable calling it, whatever you believe in, that's not what we're discussing tonight. I choose to believe in God, and I believe that God makes it very clear that it's when we live loved that fear no longer has any power in our lives. We can't will ourselves or conjure up enough strength to try to get over fear ourselves. We have to set our minds and our hearts to being loved. And I am so grateful that I already had an understanding. When I got diagnosed, I didn't have to question whether or not God loved me. See, planet Earth hits us all, but God is not planet Earth. And my diagnosis did not put into question whether or not I was loved. I knew God loved me, and I knew He was with me, and cancer is what it is. And so now I could operate, make decisions, move forward, and have an attitude based and grounded in love. And that has served me so well. So maybe people aren't as fortunate as I was to have that revelation, and maybe they're not living in love. Maybe they're living more in fear. And then when a diagnosis like cancer or something tragic happens in their life, or they get another illness or having all kinds of health issues, heart disease, diabetes, heart attack, whatever it may be, perhaps then if they don't find that revelation of love, they just find themselves on the treadmill of decision-making out of fear. And that is a treadmill that is very difficult to run on and very difficult to sustain and last on. So I just encourage all of us, we've got to find a way to believe the truth, that God loves us, regardless of our circumstances, regardless of what we've done or haven't done, regardless of whether we think we're sinning or not sinning or living well or have lived a great life or whatever. We can't buy into these lies like somehow we deserve this, or it's all our fault, or into the nastiness of everything that's hate and gone wrong in this world. We've got to get our minds... Hold on, Addison, okay? I'm right in the middle of this. I'll be in just a second, okay, buddy? Okay, thank you, son. My 10-year-old son wanted to tell me who won the home run derby. We had it on in the house tonight. So Anyway, yeah, we've got to find a way to learn how to live loved. That's just been a life changer for me and a life changer for our family. And the fact that we haven't put God's love for us in question during the most challenging circumstances and the most challenging time circumstantially of our entire life on planet Earth. I'm just telling you guys, maybe it's the difference maker. Maybe it's the reason. Okay, sorry. Get a little weak signal every once in a while. Anyway, let me move on to observation 4. Observation 4 is, I recognize and understand that a lot of people may have a challenge with either being able to raise a lot of money or finding a way to financially fund different treatments or to go to different clinics or to do different things, perhaps like I've done. And I'm not here to necessarily debate or talk about that, but I want to give an observation of what I believe everyone can do regardless of whether or not they have access to much money or not. As hard and challenging as it is to change what we eat, I believe everyone can do it on some level, and it doesn't take much money to just eat basically fruits and vegetables. And so we know that that alone has amazing healing power. I was reviewing my wife's blog post, and I've written a few of them as well, and I went back to the beginning and I've read like the first 5 so far, and I was reminded that I basically, the day I found out I possibly had lymphoma, I began to change what I was eating, and I went to fruits and vegetables for the most part. And guys, within a matter of days, I had gotten rid of those terrible headaches that had been what signaled me to go get MRIs. I had already seen some lymph nodes start to actually go down. I got rid of bone pain within a few weeks. I got rid of night sweats, all just by eating differently. And that didn't cost any money really for us to change that or do that. Because when you move to fruits and vegetables and we stop eating out and fast food and we stop buying all the processed food, we're just reallocating where our money goes in that area. The other thing is we can all detox. I just think potentially the coffee enema, maybe throughout this process at time, potentially saved my life and saved my liver from completely shutting down. Folks, for less than $100, you can get everything you need to start doing coffee enemas, and it doesn't cost that much to get some organic coffee and to be able to do those on a regular basis. So there are 2 wonderful things and ideas. Obviously, getting out in the sunshine, earthing, touching the ground with our bare feet, getting outside and letting the sun hit our skin. These don't cost a lot of money, and they can bring valuable healing to our bodies, and we can start them immediately when we're diagnosed. Maybe a lot of people just don't realize this. So I am so thankful, I'm so grateful that we have been able to have access to a lot of financial means only because so many of you have followed our journey, continue to, and have been very generous. And I can't apologize for that just because other people may have different reasons on why they don't think that's possible for them. We were completely broke 9 months ago. We were living with family. Everything we've been able to do has come through fundraising. It's come through asking people for help over and over and over again. And I'm completely comfortable with doing that. I would risk offending millions and billions of people all over the world if that's what I needed to do in order to save my life so I could live with my children and my wife. And there is no manual. There is no exact science to this. Cancer is complicated. Disease is complicated. I believe everyone is doing the best they can. So I want to leave you with this final thought. All we can do is all we can do. But all we can do is enough. Your good enough is good enough. I hope you truly find a way to live loved so that your decision making and everything you do moving forward can be based from that foundation in our hearts and in your heart instead of fear, because it'll change your life. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Wisdom from the Recliner, coming to you from the mountains of Montana, Volume 10. I love you all. Have a great night. We'll talk to you later.